Good morning, this is Larry with another modern day parable. Today's parable is called Jesus Really Loves You. Every Sunday afternoon after the morning service at their church, the pastor and his 11-year-old son would go out into their town and hand out gospel tracts. This particular Sunday afternoon, as it came time for the pastor and his son to go to the streets with their tracts, it was very cold outside, as well as pouring down rain. The boy bundled up in his warmest and driest clothes and said, "Okay, Dad, I'm ready." His pastor dad asked, "Ready for what?" "Dad, it's time we gather our tracts together and go out." Dad responds, "Son, it's very cold outside and it's pouring down rain." The boy gives his dad a surprised look, asking, "But Dad, aren't people still going to hell, even though it's raining?" Dad answered, "Son, I am not going out in this weather." Despondently, the boy asked, "Dad, can I go, please?" His father hesitated for a moment, but said, "You can go. Here are the tracts. Be careful, son." "Thanks, Dad." And with that, he was off and out into the rain. This 11-year-old boy walked the streets of the town, going to door and handing everybody he met in the street a gospel tract. After hours of walking in the rain, he was soaking, bone-chilled wet, and down to his very last tract. He stopped at a corner and looked for someone to hand the tract, but the streets were totally deserted. Then he turned toward the first home he saw and started up the sidewalk to the front door and rang the doorbell. He rang the bell, but nobody answered. He rang it again and again, but still no one answered. He waited, but still no answer. Finally, this 11-year-old trooper turned to leave, but something stopped him. Again, he turned to the door and rang the bell and knocked loudly on the door with his fist. He waited, something holding him there on the front porch. He rang again, and this time the door slowly opened. Standing in the door was a very sad-looking elderly lady. She softly asked, "What can I do for you, son?" With radiant eyes and a smile that lit up her world, this little boy said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry if I disturbed you, but I just want to tell you that Jesus really does love you. I came to give you my very last gospel tract, which will tell you all about the love and his great joy." With that, he handed her the last tract and turned to leave. She called to him as he departed, "Thank you, son, and God bless you." The following Sunday morning in church, Pastor Dad was at the pulpit, and as the services began, he asked, "Does anybody have a testimony or want to say anything?" Slowly, in the back of the row of the church, an elderly lady stood to her feet. As she began to speak, a look of glorious radiance came from her face. "None of you in this church know me. I've never been here before, but last Sunday, I was not a Christian. My husband passed on some time ago, leaving me totally alone in this world. Last Sunday, being a particularly cold and rainy day, it was even more so in my heart as I came to the end of the line where I no longer had any hope or will to live. So I took a rope and a chair and ascended the stairway to the attic of my home. I fastened the rope securely to a rafter in the roof and then stood on the chair and fastened the other end of the rope around my neck. Standing on that chair, so lonely and brokenhearted, I was about to leap off, when suddenly A loud ringing of my doorbell downstairs startled me. I thought, "I'll wait a minute and whoever it is will go away." I waited and waited, but the ringing doorbell seemed to get more insistent. And then the person started knocking loudly. I thought to myself, who on earth could this be? Nobody ever rings my bell or comes to see me. I loosened the rope from my neck and started from the front to the front door. All the while, the bell rang louder and louder. When I opened the door and looked, I could hardly believe my eyes. There on my front porch was the most radiant and angelic little boy that I'd ever seen in my life. His smile. Oh, I could never describe it to you. But the words that came from his mouth caused my heart, that had long been dead, to leap to life. As he explained with a cherub-like voice, "Ma'am, I just came to tell you that Jesus really does love you." Then he gave me this gospel tract that I now hold in my hand. As the little angel disappeared back into the cold and rain, I closed my door and read slowly every word of this gospel tract. Then I went up to my attic to get my rope and chair. I wouldn't be needing them anymore. You see, I am now a happy child of the King, and since the address of your church was on the back of this gospel tract, I have come here to personally say thank you to God's little angel who came just in the nick of time, and by so doing spared my soul from the eternity in hell. There were no dry eyes in the church, as shouts of praise and honor to the King resounded off the very rafters of the building. Pastor Dad descended from the pulpit to the front pew where the little angel was seated. He took him in his arms and sobbed uncontrollably. Probably no church has had more glorious moment, and probably this universe has never seen a papa that was more filled with love and honor for his son, except for this one. This Father, God, also allowed his son Jesus to go out into a cold and dark world. He received his son back with joy unspeakable, and as all of heaven shouted praises and honor to the King, the Father sat his beloved Son on the throne, far above all principality and power and every name that is named. There may be someone reading this who is also going through a dark, cold, and lonely time in your soul. You may be a Christian, for we are not without problems, or you may not yet know the King. Whatever the case, and whatever the problem or situation you find yourself in, and no matter how dark it may seem, know that Jesus really does love you. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Have a great day, and God bless. Good morning. This is Larry with another modern day parable. Today's parable is called Struggle of the Butterfly. A man found a cocoon of a butterfly. One day a small opening appeared. He sat and watched the butterfly for several hours as it struggled to force its body through that little hole. Then it seemed to stop making any progress. It appeared as if he had gotten as far as it could and could go no further. So the man decided to help the butterfly. He took a pair of scissors and snipped off the remaining bit of the cocoon. The butterfly then emerged easily, but it had a swollen body and small shriveled wings. The man continued to watch the butterfly because he expected that at any moment The wings would enlarge and expand to be able to support the body, which would constrict in time. Neither happened. In fact, the butterfly spent the rest of its life crawling around with a swollen body and shriveled wings. It never was able to fly. What the man, in his kindness and haste, did not understand was that the restricting cocoon and the struggle required for the butterfly to get through the tiny opening were God's way of forcing the fluid from the body of the butterfly into the wings, so that it would be ready for flight once it achieved its freedom from the cocoon. Sometimes struggles are exactly what we need in our lives too. If God allowed us to go through our lives without any obstacles, we would not be as strong as what we could have been. I asked for strength, and God gave me difficulties to make me strong. I asked for wisdom, and God gave me problems to solve. I asked for prosperity, and God gave me a brain and brawn to work. I asked for courage, and God gave me danger to overcome. I asked for love, and God gave me troubled people to help. I asked for favors, and God gave me opportunities. I received nothing I asked for, but everything I needed. Hope you liked today's story. Have a great day and God bless. Good morning, this is Larry with another modern day parable. This one is called The Cranky Old Man. The crankiest old man in the entire nursing home had passed away. He was the one the nurses fought over having to take care of. They knew he was going to make their job virtually impossible. But as they were cleaning out his things, they found this poem, and their hearts sunk. What do you see, nurses? What do you see? What are you thinking when you look at me? A cranky old man, not very wise, uncertain of habit, with faraway eyes, who dribbles his food and makes no reply. When you say in a loud voice, I do wish you'd try. Who seems not to notice the things that you do, and forever is losing a sock or a shoe. Resisting or not, that you do as you will, with bathing and feeding the long day to fill. Is that what you're thinking? Is that what you see? Then open your eyes, nurse. You're not looking at me. I'll tell you who I am as I sit here so still, as I do at your bidding, as I eat at your will. I'm a small child of 10 with a father and mother, brothers and sisters who love one another. A young boy of 16 with wings on his feet, dreaming that soon now a lover he'll meet. A groom soon at 20, my heart gives a leap, remembering the vows that I promised to keep. At 25, now I have young of my own, who need me to guide and to secure happy home. A man of 30, my young now grow fast, bound to each other with ties that should last. At 40, my young sons have grown and are gone, but my woman is beside me to see that I don't mourn. At 50, once more, babies play round my knee. Again, we know children, my loved one and me. Dark days are upon me, my wife is now dead. I look at the future, I shudder and dread. For my young are all rearing, young of their own, and I think of the years and the love that I've known. I'm now an old man, and nature is cruel. It's just to make old look like a fool. The body it crumbles, grace and vigor depart. There is now a stone where once I had a heart. But inside this old carcass a young man still dwells, and now and again my battered heart swells. I remember the joys, I remember the pain, and I'm loving and living life over again. I think of the years, all too few, gone too fast, and accept the stark fact that nothing can last. So open your eyes, people, open and see, not a cranky old man, look closer at me. I hope you liked today's story. Have a great day and God bless. Good morning, this is Larry with another modern day parable. Today's parable is called The Two Wolves. An old Cherokee chief was teaching his grandson about life. A fight is going on inside me, he said to the boy. It is a terrible fight, and it is between two wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, self-doubt, and ego. The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. This same fight is going on inside you and inside every other person too. The grandson thought about it for a minute, and then he asked his grandfather, which wolf will win? The old chief simply replied, the one you feed. Hope you enjoyed today's story. Have a great day and God bless. Good morning, this is Larry with another modern day parable. Today's parable is called Magnets. First he called 4 children who were in Sunday school class up to the stand. He had a small square container of sand, like a Tupperware container that holds one sandwich. He talked to the children about how when they play in the dirt all day, they get dirty, and sometimes the dirt sticks to them and their clothes, etc. Then he took out a small handful of little new metal washers and gave a few to each of the children. He said that these represented all the good things in life. Then he talked about how in this mortal existence, the good and the bad are all mixed up together, and sometimes the good are hard to find amidst all the bad stuff around us. He had the children drop their metal washers in the sand of dirt and stir them slightly and push them underneath so that they couldn't see them. He talked about how it might be hard for them to find good things and how they might get dirty while searching through all the dirt. But he had a way that would make it easier to find and attract the good things in life. He told them about the Holy Ghost and how he helped us to do this. He pulled out a magnet and likened it to the Holy Ghost, and had one of the children hold it over the sand and move it about. All the little metal washers came right up and attached to the magnet. Then he talked to the parents a minute about how we want to surround our children with the good things in life, close at hand and all around them: good music, good friends, literature, movies, scriptures, etc. He then gave each of the children a magnet to keep, to remind them to seek good things and that the Holy Ghost would help them to do this. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you liked it. Have a great day and God bless. Good morning, this is Larry with another modern day parable. Today's parable is called Attitude is Everything. Jerry was the kind of guy you love to hate. He was always in a good mood and always had something positive to say. When someone would ask him how he was doing, he would reply, "If I were any better, I would be twins." He was a unique manager because he had several waiters who had followed him around the restaurant to restaurant. The reason the waiters followed Jerry was because of his attitude. He was a natural motivator. If an employee was having a bad day, Jerry was there telling the employee how to look on the positive side of things. Seeing his style really made me curious. So one day I went up to Jerry and asked him, "I don't get it. You can't be a positive person all the time. How do you do it?" Jerry replied, "Each morning I wake up and say to myself, Jerry, you have two choices today. You can choose to be in a good mood, or you can choose to be in a bad mood. I choose to be in a good mood each time something bad happens. I can choose to be a victim, or I can choose to learn from it. I choose to learn from it. Every time someone comes to me complaining, I can choose to accept their complaining, or I can point out the positive side of life. I choose the positive side of life." "Yeah, right. It's not that easy," I protested. "Yes, it is," Jerry said. "Life is all about choices. When you cut away all the junk, every situation is a choice. You choose how to react to situations. You choose how people will affect your mood. You choose to be in a good mood or a bad mood. The bottom line, it's your choice how you live life." I reflected on what Jerry said. Soon thereafter, I left the restaurant industry to start my own business. We lost touch, but often I thought about him when I made a choice about life instead of reacting to it. Several years later, I heard that Jerry did something you are never supposed to do in the restaurant business. He left the back door open one morning and was held up at gunpoint by 3 armed robbers. While trying to open the safe, his hand, shaking from nervousness, slipped off the combination. The robbers panicked and shot him. Luckily, Jerry was found relatively quickly and rushed to the local trauma center. After 18 hours of surgery and weeks of intensive care, Jerry was released from the hospital with fragments of bullets still in his body. I saw Jerry about 6 months after the accident. When I asked him how he was, he replied, "If I were any better, I'd be twins." Want to see my scars? I declined to see his wounds, but did ask him what had gone through his mind as the robbery took place. "The first thing that went through my mind was that I should have locked the back door," Jerry replied. "Then as I lay on the floor, I remembered that I had two choices. I could choose to live, or I could choose to die. I chose to live." "Weren't you scared? Did you lose consciousness?" I asked. Jerry continued, "The paramedics were great. They kept telling me I was going to be fine. But when they wheeled me into the emergency room and I saw the expressions on the faces of the doctors and nurses, I got really scared. In their eyes, I read, "He's a dead man." I knew I needed to take action. "What did you do?" I asked. "Well, there was a big burly nurse shouting questions at me. She asked if I was allergic to anything. Yes, I replied. The doctors and nurses stopped working as they waited for my reply. I took a deep breath and yelled, "Bullets." Over their laughter, I told them, "I am choosing to live. Operate on me as if I'm alive, not dead." Jerry lived thanks to the skill of his doctors and the help of God, but also because of his amazing attitude. I learned from him that every day we have the choice to live fully. Attitude, after all, is everything. Hope you enjoyed today's story. Have a great day and God bless. Good morning, this is Larry with another modern day parable. Today's parable is called The Farmer's Fortune. Once upon a time, there was an old farmer who had worked his crops for many years. One day his horse ran away. Upon hearing the news, his neighbors came to visit. "Such bad luck," they said sympathetically. "Perhaps," the farmer replied. The next morning the horse returned, bringing with it 3 other wild horses. "What great luck," the neighbors explained. "Perhaps," replied the old man. The following day his son tried to ride one of the untamed horses, was thrown and broke his leg. The neighbors again came to offer their sympathy on his misfortune. "Perhaps," answered the farmer. The day after, military officials came to the village to draft young men into the army. Seeing that the son's leg was broken, they passed him by. The neighbors congratulated the farmer on how well things had turned out. "Perhaps," said the farmer. "We've all had experiences where the curses turn into blessings, rejection turns into redirection, and the unanswered prayer is the best thing that could have happened to you." I hope you enjoyed today's story. Have a great day and God bless. Good morning, this is Larry with another modern day parable. Today's parable is called The Trouble's Tree. The carpenter I hired to help me restore an old farmhouse had just finished a rough first day on the job. A flat tire made him lose an hour of work. His electric saw quit, and now his ancient pickup truck refused to start. While I drove him home, he sat in stony silence. On arriving, he invited me in to meet his family. As we walked toward the front door, he paused briefly at a small tree, touching the tips of the branches with both hands. After opening the door, he underwent an amazing transformation. His tan face was wreathed in smiles, and he hugged his 2 small children and gave his wife a kiss. Afterward, he walked me to my car. We passed the tree, and my curiosity got the better of me. I asked him about what I had seen him do earlier. "Oh, that's my trouble tree," he required. "I know I can't help having troubles on the job, but one thing for sure, troubles don't belong in the house with my wife and the children. So I just hang them on the trouble tree every night when I come home. Then in the morning, I pick them up again. Funny thing is," he smiled, When I come out in the morning to pick them up, there aren't nearly as many as I remember hanging up the night before. Hope you enjoyed today's story. Have a great day and God bless. Good morning. This is Larry with another modern day parable. Today's parable is called The Cracked Pot. A water bearer in India had two large pots, each hung on the ends of a pole that he carried across his neck. One of the pots had a crack in it, while the other pot was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water. At the end of the long walk from the stream to the house, the cracked pot arrived only half full. For a full 2 years, this went on daily, with the bearer delivering only 1.5 pots of water to his house. Of course, the perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments, perfect for which it was made. But the poor cracked pot was ashamed of its own imperfection and miserable that it was able to accomplish only half of what it had been made to do. After 2 years of what it perceived to be a bitter failure, it spoke to the water bearer one day by the stream. I am ashamed of myself, and I want to apologize to you. I have been able to deliver only half my load because this crack in my side causes water to leak out all the way back to the house. Because of my flaws, you have to do all this work, and you don't get full value for your efforts, the pot said. The bearer said to the pot, "Did you notice that there were flowers on your side of the path, but not on the other pot's side? That's because I have always known about your flaw, and I planted flower seeds on your side of the path. Every day while we walked back, you watered them. For 2 years, I have been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate the table. Without you being just the way you are, these would not have been a beauty to grace the house." Thanks for watching the video today. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day and God bless. Good morning, this is Larry with another modern day parable. Today's parable is called God's Song. Wishing to encourage her young son's progress on the piano, a mother took her boy to a Penderecki concert. After they were seated, the mother spotted a friend in the audience and walked down to the aisle to greet her. Seizing the opportunity to explore the wonders of the concert hall, the little boy rose and eventually explored his way through a door marked "No Admittance." When the house lights dimmed and the concert was about to begin, the mother returned to her seat and discovered that the child was missing. Suddenly, the curtains parted and spotlights focused on the impressive Steinway on stage. In horror, the mother saw her little boy was sitting at the keyboard, innocently picking out "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star." At that moment, the great piano master made his entrance, quickly moved to the piano, and whispered in the boy's ear, "Don't quit, keep playing." Then leaning over, Penderecki reached down with his left hand and began filling in a bass part. Soon his right arm reached around to the other side of the child and added a running obligato. Together, the old master and the young novice transformed a frightened situation into a wonderfully creative experience. The audience was so mesmerized that they couldn't recall what else the great master played, only the classic "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star." That's the way it is with God. What we can accomplish on our own is hardly noteworthy. We try our best, but the results aren't exactly graceful flowing music. However, with the hand of the Master, our life's work truly can be beautiful. Next time you set out to accomplish great feats, listen carefully. You can hear the voice of the Master whispering in your ear. Don't quit. Keep playing. Feel his loving arms around you. Know that his strong hands are there helping you turn your feeble attempts into a masterpiece. God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called, and he'll always be there to love and guide you on to greater things. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Have a great day, and God bless.